We have Steve Vickers, he's CEO and specialist at his own political and corporate risk consultancy, joining us live from Hong Kong. Mr. Vickers, we've been talking through all the different possibilities of things that could happen in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Now, in the best case scenario, best case being in terms of return to some kind of stability and certainty, hypothetically, Mr. Yoon could resign right now. Prime Minister takes over as acting president, successor elected within 60 days. That's still 60 days in which we have got campaigns, campaign promises, recalibration by allies as well as adversaries. What kind of chaos are we looking at?
It's a mess. There's no way, certainly no way around that. But the markets have not behaved particularly spectacularly badly, given the scale of what happened. Yoon's miscalculation has all kinds of political and foreign affairs problems associated with it, not just the immediate 60 days. He's going to go whether he likes it or not. The question is the manner of the going and how gracious he's allowed to be in the circumstances. There will be an election. Almost certainly, his party, the PPP, will lose that. And the real implications, the negative implications, are that a far more left-wing leaning organization or party will probably come to power. They are less sympathetic to the US, far more sympathetic to North Korea and China, and implications between the military agreement between the United States, Japan and Korea are certainly exposed.
So, Mr.
Likewise,
Vickers,
there are issues.
Could I just take you up on that? What President Yoon mentioned when he first wanted to impose, or he did impose martial law, to gently accuse the opposition of being pro-North Korean and therefore anti-state. Was there any truth to that particular claim?
I think it's true that the opposition have tried every way they could to block nearly any of his legislative moves, so most recently the budget. I don't think there's any angels here. Clearly, Yoon's miscalculation was atrocious and led to an appalling mess. There are no angels on the opposition side either. They have, for some considerable time, played dark politics. So what we're going to end up with probably will be an opposition government who have completely different views to the current president. Why he overreacted or got pushed into that situation is very unclear, but we will have to start thinking quite quickly from a geopolitical point of view about alliances with Japan and the United States. There are issues with supplying arms to Ukraine. Currently, there was very sympathetic consideration to that underway. I'll be surprised to see whether that happens. Clearly, that is in the light of North Korean troops being deployed in Russia.
All right. Given the change in leadership in January in Washington, uncertainty in leadership in Japan, one might have hoped that there might be relative stability and uncertainty in South Korea. We're not seeing it right now, are we?
We're not, and the timing couldn't be worse. The interregnum between now and President Trump, or President-elect Trump, taking over, this is a very unfortunate and uncertain time. And what we should be looking out for are misadventures by the North Koreans, who may feel that this is an opportunity to make mischief. The Russians have been obviously actively working with the North Korean administration, and there's considerable concern as to the extent of weaponry that they've been supplying the North, consulting on missiles and the rest, and the supply of fuel. So yeah, it's an uncertain time, and this could not have come at a worse juncture.
I suppose visually, final question, visually slightly surprising when we're looking at pictures of pro-President Yoon supporters this afternoon. The supporters were holding, alongside South Korean flags, they were holding US flags. So like it or not, they're linking Mr. Yoon with Washington and I suppose Japan, and the opposition with China, as you just mentioned, North Korea, and possibly Russia as well. Now, these draw on deep divisions within South Korean society, as well as uncertainties and concerns about, especially with North Korea likely, possibly contributing troops to that war in Ukraine. So this division made worse by domestic political uncertainty.
Absolutely. Obviously, Yoon appealed to the more security generation, the older generation, who have who think more about the North and the South. The alliance with the US is critical. There were a fair representative number of people who weren't in love with the military cooperation with Japan, for example. So yes, this is a really bad time for this to happen. The Ukraine situation will need to be decided upon quite quickly. It was my clear understanding that a large number of weapons were going to be shipped to Ukraine to defend themselves. Whether all this is now in the air, I just don't know at this point.
All right. Thanks for that, Steve Vickers, CEO of Steve Vickers and Associates, looking at what happens within a country does not stay the impact within that country.